What did you think of the Facebook group?
Um, I'd say enlightening. There's a lot of different clips and videos that I'd seen before, and there's a couple I hadn't seen before, and then some of the posts and blogs on there were very enlightening. Things you just don't think about. You do, but you don't.
Okay. What topic or video affected you the most and why?
Honestly, never thought about the whole Disney part of it. Like watched the Disney clips and like how um, the different stereotypes that were put on different races and ethnicities within even like the one that was like the Three Amigos and how they make like Latinos look that
Mm-hmm.
way, and then um, how they pointed out like within like Blue like all the different Jungle Book references
Mm-hmm.
and putting them down more, making them appear as monkeys instead of
Right.
regular, and there's many other, and then how like all the heroes and heroines are always white males and females. It's kind
Right.
of just like wow, it's even in like the most innocent
Mm-hmm.
films that are produced, they're still
Right. And you don't think about it when you're a kid.
no, you don't.
Yeah. So, yeah. So is openly discussing race and ethnicity and all these things new to you?
No, I mean I've taken classes where this discussion have come up before. I've done some kind of classes. I would say classes like discussions about it in different classes I've had. I've gone to conferences where it's race and ethnicity comes up. Um, but no, talking about it, it's never been a problem to me. I've always been very open minded and try to be able to discuss it
Okay.
and be civil about it. I mean, it's a big issue, and I think everyone should have some experience with it.
Okay. And did any of the material that you saw on either the Facebook group or the blog or anything make you feel uncomfortable?
The 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 general idea of racism makes me uncomfortable. Just the fact that it exists, the fact that it's still there. Um, so some of the film clips I saw, like, or the more recent ones, you still see it. It's better masked. Like, certain politicians or newscasters, they may choose their words more carefully, but it's displaying the same message. The same message is still there no matter which way you word it. It's still you said that racial slur, but in a very cunning manner.
Right.
No matter how you say it, whether it's direct or indirect, it's still the same message. And it is uncomfortable because I've always thought of myself as non-racist, and I could tend to get along with anyone. We're all people. People are people.
Right. Okay. Have you experienced racism in any way?
Me personally, no. I mean, I've been around. I mean, I came from a small community where there's maybe 3 or 4 people in an entire school that were from another race or ethnicity. Like it was so, and even then they were blended in more like towards white crap. I mean, they just kind of became the rest of us because that's all they knew how to be around. If they try to blend in with who they think they're supposed to be, like they would stuck out too much. And like in my school, like we had one family in blacks, and and they tended to act more white. I mean, like what we would call white culture, and so they tried to blend into it, and we accepted them. I mean, it wasn't a big deal. I mean, but like in small communities like this, it's not a surprise to see a lot of racism. And we did see a lot of it. And there were still the funny comments here and there from friends to friends, but it still was the same comments that
So do you think that if they did act more of their culture or act more like themselves, that they would have faced more racism and wouldn't have fit in?
um I believe so. I mean, I believe in smaller communities you see a lot more of racism than you would in bigger cities. I mean, because there's generally within bigger cities there's a more, um, lot more population, so it gets goes by list a lot more, and there's a lot more of it, so it's not near as unique or you're not near as foreign to us. Whereas in small communities, if there's a small family of them, if they stick out, people don't like things that stick out. They like normal, flow, and anything that goes against the normal flow.
Okay.
So,
All right. So what do you think that your part is in changing racism?
awareness and of like making people aware that racism still occurs, that it's still very prevalent, regardless of how it looks and how it's worded. And also, if you hear a racist comment or a slur, like confronting someone about it. Like if you hear a racist comment, you confront them like that's not cool. Like you tell a person to their face that it's you're not okay with it. And I think that's the easiest way and the quickest way to disarm it. If you're talking to a peer and they say something in a racial slur, and not necessarily towards you, but in general, if you voice the way that it's you're not okay with it, they're gonna feel uncomfortable. Then again, saying that around you because they don't want to upset you. Hopefully, if they're your friend. So I think peers have a lot more power than anyone else.
Do you think that if you did, um, well, first, have you ever done that before?
I think jokingly around sometimes, but which jokes aren't any more
Right.
less harmful. But I mean, it's still the same message. But yes, I mean, I would admit that I'm even as much unracist as I try to be. I think we still have our own ways of doing it without even realizing it. Like kind of like we don't realize the Disney films are doing it, but we still do it ourselves. Like I think it's because a lot of times we've grown up around it. It's been around there, and so we kind of grow up in it, and we don't think about it when we say something.
So have you ever corrected anyone for doing it, or did you correct yourself or apologize?
A lot of times I think about what I said afterwards, and I'm like, wow, why did I just say that? Or I'm like that. I'm like, should I have said that? Or but yeah, I've corrected people at times, and I'm like, that's not funny. Or
what was the reaction that you got from the people that you did that to?
they they kind of just thought I was joking around with them. It's funny they didn't even take it seriously that I corrected them, which is saddening. They're just like, I'm like, oh, you're just joking around, like we're just joking. Don't, I'm like, well, it's still not funny,
Yeah. So if that's the kind of reaction that you're going to get when you try to change it, what can you do to avoid that?
I don't know. I guess press harder and make it more clearly that you're serious about it, and not just be like, hey, that's not cool, but like really like, and maybe take them to this Facebook group or something like that, or just show them some of these clips of how serious racism really is. Make, like I said, awareness is the biggest tool to um, getting rid of racism. I mean, awareness, and I think that classes like this are very helpful in disarming racism.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you very much.
Thank you.